for your patience. You've been very gracious towards us. Please, Lagos traffic is a bit of a nightmare in December, as we all know. And so some of our guests are running a little bit late, but nonetheless, we will begin promptly. I would like to invite Pastor Ijoma Adesoya to come up to give us the opening prayer. Shall we all rise as we take the opening prayer? Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Let's pray. So, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for 7 years of the youth in diaspora. Thank you for the founder, the leaders, for the solutions to economic transformation of our nation. 1 Timothy 2 verse 2, it tells us that we should pray for kings and all those who are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and reverence. And so we just pray for every discussion here, that there will be clarity, there will be solutions, there will be results, that the nation will be better because we met today, and that the discussions here will impact the youths of the nation and the nation itself at large. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor Ijoma. We may all be seated. To kick us off today, I'm going to share a little bit of my story with Youth in Diaspora. So I first joined Youth in Diaspora back in 2018, in its early years as a volunteer. And that year, it was December. I had just come back into Lagos for Dirty December, as everyone else does. And I was told, oh, there's a food drive happening in Makoko. Have you ever been to Makoko before? I was like, nope, don't know what that is, never been before. And they were like, oh, there's an organization called Youth in Diaspora. It's meant to mobilize young people in the diaspora to give back to Nigeria's economic and social development. And at that time, the very first initiative was called Feed the 1,000. And it was a food drive to give food to children in the Makoko community. And in the first year of 2018, we were able to raise enough funds to generate 100 food boxes that were distributed to 100 kids within the Makoko community. And my journey with Youth in Diaspora began there up until I made my gracious exit in 2021 due to life and education, etc. But now we're 7 years on. Youth in Diaspora is growing, it's kicking. The vision is even larger than before, and many, many lives are being impacted. To kick us off this evening, I would like to invite Mr. David Nda, the team lead for Lagos, and Mr. Mubuayo Pedro Ebe, team lead Nigeria, to come and give us their opening remarks to kick off the session. David, Momo, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Fumbi. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Anthony Nda, and I am the team lead for Youth in Diaspora, the Lagos team lead. First of all, I would like to apologize for the delay in commencement of the events due to unforeseen circumstances and Lagos traffic. Thank you so much for making it and being patient with us. I also want to use this opportunity to thank our sponsors, Mike Adenigrar Center, Alliance Française, Eric Kaiser, and Grenville Schools. Thank you once again, and enjoy 7 years with the celebration for 7 years in Youth in Diaspora. Thank you.
And just to piggyback on what he said, 7 years in Youth in Diaspora. So just looking back at what Fumbi said, in 2018, we did start out as a feeding program. It was just someone reaching out to us, looking, oh, let's go feed the children. But that single call alone led to years of transformation, which is what represents what we have for 7 years. From a simple feeding program, we translated to understand more about the community that we served in Makoko and realized that these children don't just need a one-off venture into their community where we feed them, but they need to be able to create some type of wealth for themselves. They need to understand that regardless of what the economy is stating, there's still skills that they can build to create wealth for themselves, and that skill can be gained through education. So when we look at 7 years in YID, we look at the transformation and how from just a simple feeding program we moved towards education. And over the past couple of years, we have had a heavy focus on just education. When we look at education, we're looking at the teaching aspect of it, making sure that the students have quality teachers to learn. We're also looking at the students themselves, how we can improve their lives. We're also looking at the environment, how the environment can shape in the students' education. Because, of course, when you look at that helix of good teachers, able students, good environment, it's a conducive area for students to learn. So that is why this story, and as Fumbi mentioned, we are just starting. There is so much more that Youth in Diaspora has in store for us. And it's not just a collection of diasporans coming from the diaspora to come to Nigeria, but we really want diasporans and even youths in Nigeria alike to understand that we are able to pour back into our community. Just because we may move into temporarily or permanently out of the country doesn't mean that youths cannot participate, doesn't mean that youths cannot pour back into their local communities to even understand what is going on and even just see how they can have some key inputs. So that is YID. That is YID at 7. We have much more in store for you. We are so thankful that each and every one of you could make it here with us. We definitely have a lot in store for you this evening, and we would just like you to stay tuned. Thank you again, everyone. So I'd like to call back our gracious host.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Momo. So now we're going to play a mini documentary on what has happened over the last few years within YRD. And in this documentary, you get to hear from some of the teachers that we sponsor within the Makoko community. So could our media team please roll that documentary promptly? Thank you. Media? Okay, media is having. Okay, I think we're making some headway. Could we dim the lights as well, please, so that the auditorium, thank you.
massive. You know that is wow, massive, right? So and apart from that, they pay me salary, 4 months salary, like from September to December salary. And even I was surprised because my baby was sick that we have to took him to hospital, general hospital at Lagos, massive children hospital. So I was even my husband too was very, very surprised, like, hey, so these people they can pay like this. I was if anybody tell me I will not believe till it happened to me. And apart from that, December 20 something, they pay my 13th month salary. I was like, wow. So since then, I'm not joking with them. Saying is believing. So I believe in them. Thanks youth in diaspora. I really appreciate their help. I really thank them for saving my baby life. Ah, see him now. This might not bring the baby. Bring their baby. See him now. See their baby. Ah, I'm coming. Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, see their baby here. That time my baby was 2.7 kg. See now he's almost 6.8 kg now.
My name is Idowu Israel, former Koko community. I was born and brought up here in Makoko community. I teach at Adekunle Anglican Primary School, same community Makoko, precisely primary 4 class. We start from my academic section. Some time ago, I had the opportunity of being a student of the University of Lagos. Along the line, I lost the opportunity. That was then when I met Arthur, the president of the Youth in Diaspora. And from there, I narrate so many stories to him. People do say opportunity comes but once. But I got the opportunity second time through Youth in Diaspora. Because then, at that time, I was not an educationist, though I teach. To be an educationist means you need to attend the school that have to do with education, which I never did. So they saw the potential through me, in me, and they decided to enroll me. That was 2023. And during that period, because of the program, as an NC program, they enrolled me and they paid my school fees the first year, 2023. 2024, they paid my school fees. 2025, as we are talking now, my school fees are already paid. So they made a lot of impact in my life, which I believe by the end of this year, be seen and a real qualified educationist. Youth in diaspora have been consistent. And they are saying they will still be consistent tomorrow because they are youth representing Nigeria in diaspora. So definitely they are holding the country in a great hand. And I know that what they are doing is making impact in other countries, not here, not just only here in Africa. Thank you so much. They gave me the opportunity, I never misuse it. I'm saying big thanks to them. God bless you, Youth in Diaspora.
And despite the fact that we've been here since 2018 and counting to date, the journey is not over yet. We have promised that we will keep on doing what we have been doing. And it's prayer that we get youth with the rightful minds to also come and partner with us and join us to see how we can make great impact in not just this community, even in your community, in your neighborhood. It doesn't have to be Makoko. We have chosen to start our foundation here and we'll take it to the world. Youth in diaspora, stand support. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can give another round of applause. And we have some of our teachers here in the room with us. So please, if you're a teacher within the Youth in Diaspora system, could you please rise? Any of our teachers in the room? Can we please give them a massive round of applause? Thank you so much for all the hard work, the dedication you pour into each and every single student in that community. We appreciate you so, so much. God bless you all. Thank you. Once again, another round of applause for our teachers. Thank you, everyone. So we've just watched a mini documentary. I know we're all in our fields. We can see the impact we've had over the last couple of years, not just in the lives of the students or the children in the Makoko community, but also in the lives of their teachers as well, and those who educate the children and our children. Now, I know we have so many people in the room, and I'm kind of curious to find out where everyone is from. So if you're just visiting Nigeria, you're Nigerian in terms of like by birth, but you don't live here full time. Can I see your hand up as per like you're a diasporan, a returnee? Is there anyone who's here for just 30 December and then they're going away? Any hands? I see one hand at the back, two, three. Hello. Thank you guys for joining us. Um, today we're doing, it's also a fundraiser today, and you can be part of this mission that we're driving here. Youth in Diaspora, it's there in the name. It's not just for the Nigerian youths on ground, but also knowing even if you're not on ground in Nigeria, if you're abroad, you can still have an impact within local communities back at home. And we want to say thank you for joining us today. Now, I would like to invite Mobayo Pedro Ebe back to the stage to give us his Youth in Diaspora story. Thank you, Momo.
Okay, wow. Good evening, everyone. Again, so my youth in diaspora story is actually, I call it enlightening. While I was still in the diaspora, I spent about a decade in diaspora. I schooled there and I also worked there. So I was working at an NGO that was sort of all encompassing in the sense that they worked on trying to rehabilitate people into society. Every single day, they fed close to 100 homeless people, 3 square meals a day. And when the homeless people were interested in trying to reintegrate themselves back into society, they would do a psych evaluation on them. They had doctors on standby. They would send them to an off-campus location where they would learn some type of skill or some type of trade. And within the 9-month period that they are learning, they partnered up with they partnered up with the city of New Orleans. I schooled in Louisiana. They partnered up with the city of New Orleans to essentially give them jobs and give them some type of stability. And these individuals ended up coming back to society, reconnecting with their families, and just living their lives again. And I thought that was completely fantastic. So when I moved back to Nigeria in 2020, my first question was like, okay, have been in this really amazing NGO. Will I find something similar? And when I thought about similar, I don't mean exactly like for like, but an NGO that basically does not think of what's going to happen here and then, but an NGO that is also looking forward toward the future. So that was my initial thought process. YID, on the other hand, I had been following them for a while. I had never dug too deep into YID. So I came across their page again in 2020. I just looked through and I was like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? I'm just going to keep watching them. Try to look at NGOs that my classmates back then were like putting together. Nothing seemed to catch my eye. Fast forward to 2 years after that, during my NYSC year, I was like, okay, let's go look at NGOs again. Stumbled across YID. This time, I took an in-depth look of just what they've been doing so far. I went to their website, just saw the different programs that they've put on, and then I looked at their mission statement, which was if I'm not mistaken, I know what it is. Creating wealth through sustainable education, and then just looking at the intentionality that they had of just connecting the diasporan youths to their communities. When I saw that, I reached out. I reached out to our wonderful leader, Otter. And I will say this, and he's not here because he's probably going to laugh at me if I say this. The first time I reached out to him, you know when people reach out to you and you're not completely sure whether this person is being very serious or not? He saw the message I sent to him and he sends me a link like, oh, register, we'll get back to you. And then like a couple of days passed and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to reach out again just to be sure that he got my message the first time. So when he got my message the second time, he was like, I think I should I think I should give this guy a call because he seems serious. And literally from that point onward, it was just conversations upon conversations because he literally unraveled everything that Youth in Diaspora stands for, everything that they represent. And in our conversations, I realized that, look, this organization is actually thinking of the future. And I'm not saying that to say that it's not good to have one off programs, but we're not looking at just feeding people. We're trying to teach people to understand that they can fend for themselves in the future. And that's a very, very powerful vision to have. And that kind of vision is not something that you start off with just adults. From a very young age, if you can impart the children with the necessary skills and talent for them to build a future for themselves, or even for them to have a vision that this is a future that they can grab for themselves, it's very key and influential in just ensuring that we're experiencing, or those children would experience some type of economic transformation in their lives and just be beneficiaries or even be of benefit to the economy. And that's pretty much how my YID journey started. From that point onward was a lot of phone calls, a lot of integrating myself into YID and just seeing how we can bring about that vision of just having them create wealth for themselves. And of course, we're looking at that through the lenses of education because education is key and not just the technical aspect of it, but also looking at things practically. As people will say, for you to be able to move forward, it's good for you to have a skill today because it's the skills that you have and you build today that can actually make you be someone tomorrow. So that's just very, very. I'm not going to put all the details of late nights and everything in between, but that is my YID story. I honestly do not see any other NGO that I envision myself working in. The YID vision has been embedded in my heart, and I know that I see myself here essentially for an extremely long time. So once again, I'm very, very grateful for YID. They have not just given me an organization that I've fallen in love with, but they've also given me a family that I absolutely cherish, and I would not trade that family for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Momo. Alrighty. So before we go to our next documentary to explore some of the things that we've done in the year 2022, I just wanted to get a feel of the energy in the room. How are we all feeling? Please respond back to me. How are you feeling? Are we feeling good? Are we a bit, what's the energy like? Okay, we need to shake it off a bit because I feel like everyone is a bit tense, okay? So if you guys would indulge me, just indulge me. Can we all rise a little bit? Please, please. We're gonna do a little shimmy. We all love to do a good old little shimmy from time to time. So just to give us, some flexibility. I know some of us are in bow ties, we're choked up a little bit, but loosen up. A little shimmy works. What did Taylor Swift say? Shake it off, didn't she? So we're gonna shake it off a little bit. So can we all shake, 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 shake? Come on, give me your best shimmy in the room. Move those shoulders back. Da 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 da. I'm giving you a little bit of song and dance. I can even do a twist for y'all. Okay? A little twist, a little twist, 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 twist. Come on. Okay. Thank you for indulging me. I'm just trying to get up our energy a bit more in the room. We can all sit down. It's been a long evening and a long day, so we thank you for sharing your Wednesday evening with us again. So media team, please, we can play the next documentary. This documentary showcases our visit to the Makoko community in 2022. And we went on this visit with one of our partners here today, Eric Hazer, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So media team, the floor is yours. We can dim the lights as well.
do is just to see how we could come take a look at the community, which is multiple. And also in regards to our director in charge, Arthur Amadi, is very this community, so he's trying to see an avenue to support the community. So to also see a means of also helping children that we know that they can't afford school and some classes that are dilapidated. To also see how we can as well renovate these classes so that they can be of good use to the students. Because there's no point of where there's a school and there are no classes or classes whereby there are no good seats for the children to sit or there are no good boards.
If this place is not protected, once you get in here, anything that you see, it's free for all. Yeah. So this class also empty, similar to the other classes from downstairs.
This is not my first time. So it's just like for me, just coming back to see how far the community has, the last time I came back. Last time I came to a survey action, and I to know what more needs to be done here again.
Yeah.
So I just want to get a sense of how people are living, and trying to use like transition issues to increase life expectancy.
Sounds cool. This is my first time. Oh, so cool. Yeah, I never get a chance to come with you guys. So I actually don't have any expectations. I know I'm going to go wrong.
So about the Sil Valley, from there, enter water.
But yeah, you don't see this, it's quite big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, having people and come together is something that it means a lot to me. As my birthday is coming up, might be able to help, some of the places on the line.
Yeah, public service announcement. The government, Singapore, go.
Alright. So this boat is something that if a lot of the people from the community they are used to, and it's something that we can even use. If you look at the data now, as long as there are a lot of things, you can maybe transform this place into a maybe a small home or like even a small school, depending on how you build it. So maybe one day we'll figure out to speak to the community and see if it's possible to make like something like this that can be like a school or a house or like a place which you can come and yeah.
Look, this is for now, I'm sure. Yeah, if not, or maybe the home or something.
Let's go down with this, why not Measure Primary School?
They deserve a life too,
This community, someone like SK was doing business before, fashion design. So they're people that even despite the situation of the community, still try and make ends meet.
Shows you the different diversities of people that stay in this community, sometimes it's not just all about what we think. Sometimes someone will see this guy now and then, you're already so kind of, like what before, they're humans too, like we deserve a better life.
I think as young people, it's only right we try to empower, the young people in the community too. Also make sure that tomorrow, maybe we don't even need to come into maybe 20 doesn't even need to come in, maybe we don't need to come here. Maybe we can help them so much that they can be the ones helping the community. How's your experience been? It was good. It was very inspiring.
Inspiring. Oh, we think how you calm down, right?
Well, I think everything is, very, enlightening as well, and I look forward to, working with you with our efforts. It's coming, it's not a touristic location.
Yeah, no.
Let's take something back for us, We're coming to hopefully community and people, they need it. Like I told you that I was prepared for what I was going to see. Actually, I was. As I've been going deeper and deeper.
This is the best time for that
Yeah, exactly. So, like, very happy. Yes, it's really like it's like the reminisce on what I experienced 2018. So, and it reminded me more again that yes, there's still a lot more that we need to do. It's not just this community alone, but other communities also in Nigeria. This community also can be a form of light that we can use, to just cause that transformation, cause that change. And people can also know that we don't really have to also be empowered to make impact. We as individuals can come together and make impact on our own. We as individuals can come together to cause the change. If the government is not going to help with the change, we can be the changers. My one word is grateful. I'm grateful for everyone being here. This is Saturday. All of you have your own lives. You could be anywhere. You could be at home, relaxing after working, the whole week work. But you took time out of the busy schedules to be here. You travel from church after a vacation, still came. Once you came back, you still said, I want to come. So my own word is beautiful. We just
Thank you, everyone. So that was a visit that happened in April of 2022, and a lot has progressed since then. But now it is time for us to have our opening keynote. We have the pleasure of having with us the Honorable Commissioner of Youth with us in the building, Honorable Mobology Ogunlende. Can we give him a resounding round of applause? Thank you. So before I have the Honorable Commissioner come up, I am just going to tell you a little bit about our Commissioner. Give me a moment. Here we go. Here we go. So, Honorable Commissioner of Youth Mobology Abubakare Ogunlende was born on 23rd of March 1980. His career spans over a decade in the oil and gas sector in various capacities in the United Kingdom, United States, Dubai, and Nigeria. Mobology was head of operations for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, EMEA, for Owando Trading, a subsidiary of the Owando PLC. Prior to joining the Owando Group, he worked with Halliburton Inc. under various capacities across the USA and UK. Offices in the government and infrastructure unit, as well as the energy and chemical sector of the organization. He also has extensive banking experience gained from working in business development, strategy, assets, finance, and financial advisory with Lloyds TSB Bank, UK, and Zenith International Bank, respectively. He bagged his BA honours in business economics from the University of Leicester, United Kingdom, and a master's in hydrocarbon enterprise from the University of Aberdeen, Scotland. He is also an alumni of the Lagos Business School, Nigeria, where he is the current president of SMP 53. After many years of several personal humanitarian services, he officially launched the RAK, Real Acts of Kindness Development Foundation, in 2016. And since then, they have initiated and partnered projects that have covered 15 of 17 sustainable development goals since. His humanitarian service has continued to bag him awards both nationally and internationally, such as the African Young Luther King Heroes Summit, who awarded him the African Courage Prize for investment in youth and enterprise development, Youth and Enterprise Development, the West African Union Students' Parliament, WASUP, who awarded him the Pan-African Exemplary Leadership Award of
Award
Excellence
of
as a
Excellence as a
vanguard of
vanguard of
societal
societal
development in
development in
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Grand
Grand
Patron of
Patron
the
of
Badagry
the
Women's
Badagry
Development
Women's
Forum
Development
for his
Forum
staunch
for his
support
staunch
in women's
support in women's
development
development
and
and
empowerment.
empowerment.
Yoruba Youth
Yoruba Youth
Assembly
Assembly
Award for
Award
selfless
for
service for
selfless
the less
service for the less
privileged
privileged
and
and
humanity at
humanity
large.
at large.
2-year winner of
Two-year
the
winner of the
Southwest Legendary
Southwest
Award for
Legendary Award for
Humanitarian Service.
Humanitarian Service.
Congress of
Congress
Nigerian
of
Youth
Nigerian
Award
Youth
for National
Award for
Outstanding
National
Performance,
Outstanding
and
Performance,
many
and many
others.
others.
Mobolaji Ogunlende
Mobolaji Ogunlende
continuously makes huge
makes
personal
huge personal
expenses to see his
expenses to
dream
see his
for a
dream
better
for a better
society come to
society come
reality.
to reality.
Some of his notable works include partnership with VSF, Victim Support Fund's 1 billion naira COVID-19 Emergency Intervention Fund, which saw his foundation reach 3,000 households in Lagos State. Established a partnership with Lagos Food Bank to distribute palliatives at regular intervals to various communities. Established the first ever recycling plant in Badagry, Lagos State, amongst many others. Mobolaji Ogunlande was called to serve the good people of Lagos State as a cabinet member during the first administration of His Excellency, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, where he was appointed as the Special Advisor on Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations to the Lagos State Governor between October 2022 to May 2023, where he was saddled with steering the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, and the Lagos State Safety Commission. He was also the board chairman, NYSC, Lagos State. Mobolaji's contribution during the short period surprised a lot of Lagosians and Nigerians, and his name has continued to ring a bell amongst the corridors of notable young leaders. His commitment and activities gave him a scorecard for his reappointment into the second-term administration of His Excellency, Governor Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. He was appointed on Wednesday, 13th of September, 2023, as the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Youth and Social Development. He's an example worth emulating as he creatively manages his time and resources to make the world a better place every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we all give a resounding round of applause as we welcome the Honorable Commissioner of Youth and Social Development to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Let me start by thanking what I would call our critical stakeholders for being here today. There's a lot of traffic outside, and it's been a nightmare getting here. But in spite of that, you found time out of no time to be here. And I'd like to say a very big thank you to each and every one of us that are in this room, because we all make today a special day. To the organizers of this event, I'd like to commend you once again for the great work that you're doing. 7 years is a long time. And for you to have been able to stand the test of time over 7 years, it just goes to show that there's something that you're doing and there's something that you're doing right. As I came in, I saw the video on screen, and it reminded me a lot about my journey that brought me to where I am today. My motto for my foundation, which, sorry, I didn't get your name. which Fumbi spoke about earlier on, my RAC Development Foundation, my motto remains to quench thirst, inspire change, and empower generations. And I saw that in that video, and it reminded me a lot about when I started my journey. And I can say to you, you're on the right track. United we stand, divided we fall. No man can do it alone. One of the speakers in the video was talking, and he mentioned something about if the government cannot, we would rise up to the occasion. And I was exactly like that until I put myself forward for service. And that is how I attained this position, right? Who is the government? The government is us. We are the government. The government is the people. The government can definitely not do it alone. I can tell you that for free. But the more we come together, the more we realize this, the more we put ourselves forward, because it's a selfless service. The more we do that, then the more we can ensure that a greater Lagos will continue to rise. The more we would ensure that we give our young people, especially in those undeserved areas, the opportunity to be able to thrive on a global scale. So for me, it is with honor and a deep sense of responsibility that I stand before you all today on this momentous occasion, marking the 7th anniversary of Youth in Diaspora. I congratulate the organization of 7 years of unwavering commitment to breaking the cycle of poverty through education, through employment, and through youth empowerment. Your work in undeserved communities like Makoko, which we saw there, and employing young teachers, transforming dilapidated classrooms, and restoring hope to the vulnerable out-of-school children is not just commendable, but it is a beacon of what is possible when optimism meets action. As we gather here today under the theme, Youth, Education, and Nation Building, a pathway to national economic transformation, we are not merely celebrating milestones. We are actually igniting a dialogue that could reshape the destiny of a great nation. When we pick out the word youths in diaspora, I'm not sure what rings into the mind of many, but for me, youths in diaspora means youths that have jackpot, right? But in this room, somehow those youths are back here, which means they are jackpot dying, right? And essentially, we would start to realize that not all of us are going to be able to jackpot. Some will jackpot and jackpot. But the point is, when we all come back here and come back home, we all have a role and a responsibility to ensure that our country is thriving. Nobody is going to fix it for us. We must fix it ourselves. The youths are the leaders of tomorrow starting today. And action starts today with events like this and opportunities like this. And who are the beneficiaries? It's not me. It's not Mr. Governor. It's not the convener. It is the young people that are out there in undeserved communities. Those are the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries are the youths that we continue to empower. The beneficiaries are the youths who we say are the leaders of tomorrow starting today. So the earlier we all come together collectively to ensure that we give them that platform to thrive on, the better for each and every one of us. In our theme in Lagos State, youth, education, and nation building are not isolated pillars. That is why we have it as part of our agenda in our Themes Plus agenda. For those who may or may not know, because I always find out that there's a huge disconnect, even between the youths in diaspora and the government. A lot of us don't even know what is happening. A lot of us don't even, because we believe we don't need the government or we don't have anything to do with the government, we stay disconnected. But just for knowledge purposes, in Lagos State, as you know, Lagos is the center of excellence. Lagos, the state of aquatic splendor. When Lagos sneezes, every other state catches a cold, as we know. So we have to get it right in Lagos, which is why such a fora is happening here in Lagos. So we have what we call the Themes Plus agenda, for those who may not know. T for transport, H for health, E for education and technology, M for making Lagos a 21st century, E for environment, S for security and safety. That was in the first administration. In the second administration, we added 3 pluses: social inclusion, gender equality, and the youth. What we see here is part of our 3 pluses: the social inclusion, gender equality, and the youth. So this marinates very closely with what we are trying to achieve as a government, which is one of the reasons why I continue to make myself available in forums like this so that we can continue to re-echo what it is that we're trying to do as a government, which is ultimately to leave no one behind, and 2, to ensure that we catch our youth at a young age so that they can become enabling change makers. I see education as a great equalizer. It is the forge where raw potential is tempered into purposeful action. Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." I saw a quote here as well. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So as you can see, everything comes together. And the more we continue to say the same things, repeat the same things, have the mindset in the right frame, then we would definitely continue to ensure that our country becomes a better place for us to live in. Youth in Diaspora exemplifies this blueprint in action. For 7 years, again, you have been on the front lines, as we saw in the video, employing young women as teachers and empowering them not just with jobs, but with the agency to uplift their communities. But for me, I would like to say, let us think deeper. Nation building is not the sole domain of governments or NGOs, like my friend was trying to say in the video earlier on. It demands a symphony of collaboration between the public sector, the private sector, and civil societies at large. In Lagos, we have seen the power of such partnerships through many programs, and we will continue to see this. But for a second, as I round up, let us just imagine, if you can, a Nigeria in 2035, which is 10 years into your decade of deployment of youth in diaspora. A Nigeria where we could potentially have 100,000 new teachers that have ignited minds in every single corner, not only in Makoko, but in Ajegunle, in Badagry, in Ekpe, in Ikorodu, in Alimosho, in Isolo, in all those undeserved areas, where young women, once marginalized, lead classrooms and boardrooms alike, where education continues to drive economic diversification, agro-tech startups, fintech solutions, I beg your pardon, and other financial solutions in creative economies that would ensure that Nigeria becomes a story for the world. This vision is definitely attainable, and is attainable by the collaboration of every single one of us in this room. The government, of course, must provide enabling policies and infrastructure. Corporations must invest in skills and in the young people. But in all, and for me as Commissioner for Youth and Social Development, I am committed to this synergy. I am committed to advocating for youth in diaspora. I am committed to empowering young people irrespective of your race, your background, where you're coming from, because as we've said as a government, we will leave no one behind. We're expanding our youth centers in Lagos State. We're launching gender-sensitive programs and fostering social inclusion through community uplift projects. We have many academies like the Latif Jakonde Academy, Ibile Youth Academy, the Lagos State Youth Parliament, where we continue to empower young people who have a flair in governance, just so that at a very young age, we all come together to see how we can continue to ensure that a greater Lagos continues to rise. In closing, I have no doubt that this anniversary will not be an endpoint for youths in diaspora. It will be a launchpad for youths to embrace their role as nation builders, which is why we have all come here today to celebrate and gain some more knowledge as we're here. To our corporate partners and our stakeholders, once again, I'd like to say a very big thank you, and I hope that you would join us to see the investment in youths, not just as a charity, but as a strategic foresight towards building a Nigeria where economic transformation is inclusive and sustainable. This is a pathway we must work together to forge. And it starts now. It starts from you, it starts from me. Like I keep saying, united we stand, divided we fall. No man is an island. Nobody can do it alone. The government cannot do it alone. The private organizations cannot do it alone. We must come together. And every little helps. Every little helps, no matter how little it is. All you need to do is to be determined, make up your mind, and have that mindset that with the little that I have, I will make a difference. If you can make that difference in your community, it translates to you making a difference in the state, translates to it being a difference in the country, translates to it being a difference in the nation and in Africa at large. And that is how we must all work together collectively to ensure that we achieve this objective. They say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Youth in diaspora have taken that step. They started 7 years ago. They are here. And we pray that in another 7 years, we'll all be here to celebrate them, knowing fully well that each and every one of us has taken a cue away from here to ensure that we do something, no matter how small, in our community. And this is how we can ensure that a greater Lagos continues to rise. Thank you very much, Youth in Diaspora, for conveying us. May your next 7 years and beyond be marked by even greater impact. Thank you very much, everybody, and God bless you all.
Can we again give a resounding applause to the Commissioner of Youth? Thank you so much, sir. And again, once again, I want to appreciate everyone for being here with us tonight. We do understand there's a hectic traffic situation, but out of that, you still made time to be here. Again, we're grateful for your presence with us tonight. My face is new, so I'll introduce myself. My name is Bolu Okunwade, and I'll also be co-hosting along with Fumbi tonight. So to move straight into the next session for today, we'll be having a panel session. And I'm just going to call upon our speakers and read their profile before they come up on and sit. So first of all, the first person on the panel this evening would be Folawe Omikunle. Folawe, you have really great supporters. Great. So I'll read your profile now, and we could bring her up. Thank you. So Ms. Folawe Omikunle is a social entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience in education, nonprofit, leadership, and sustainability. She's the founding CEO of Teach for Nigeria, leading efforts that have impacted over 300,000 students. I think that's worth an applause. And 1,000 leaders nationwide. Folawe serves on several education-focused boards and committees and continues to shape education reform across Africa as a development consultant and Teach for All ambassador. With a sounding round of applause, can we put our hands together as she makes her way? Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Okay, the next person on the panel is Damilola Feide. I'm really hoping I got the pronunciation. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll read her bio quickly. Damilola Feide is the founder and CEO of Let It Shine Academy, Nigeria's first free secondary boarding school for marginalized children. She's a social entrepreneur committed to advancing education, equity, and sustainable change. Damilola also serves as the head of SME strategy at Providence Bank and is the author of Hepzibah's anthology. She's already here, but again, let's put our hands together for her. Amazing. All right. And finally, Miss Aishat Agbaje Okunwade. Okay, she's currently not around. I'm sure she's stuck in traffic. So we'll move straight to our moderator. So to moderate this panel for us, we have Mobuayo Pedro Egbe. Mobuayo Pedro Egbe is an engineer and programs manager with experience in energy systems, sustainability, and engineering project execution across Nigeria and the United States. He holds a master's degree in energy engineering, currently leads engineering projects and talent development initiatives at WellTech Limited. Known for his clear communication and structured approach, Mobuayo brings strong communication, leadership, and moderation skills to cross-sector conversations. Can we put our hands together as we welcome Mobuayo to moderate this panel? Okay, he's not in the room. So maybe I'll just take it on from here, pending when Mobuayo comes. So thank you so much. Okay. There are microphones, media. Okay, let me just pick it from there. Apologize. Great. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. Super amazing to have you tonight. So we'll go straight into questions because of time, all right? Do you want to do a brief introduction of yourself? It's on already.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations again to
Youth in
the Diaspora,
Thank you so
and
much.
happy anniversary. I'm Folawo Mikule, and as introduced, I'm a social entrepreneur, and I'm a development consultant.
Okay, thank you so much, Yuma.
Hi, good evening. I know it's been read already, but my name is Damilola Feide. I'm the founder of Ledichan Academy, which is an intervention organization that provides free and quality education to marginalized children and communities. So.
Okay, can we put our hands together? We just received the First Lady. Okay, thank you so much. So Mobuayo will just take over from the panel. Thank you so much.
All right. Hello, everyone. Before the panel begins, can we all give a resounding round of applause as we appreciate the presence of the First Lady of Lagos State, Her Excellency, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, who made time to be with us today. Thank you so much, ma'am. Mobuayo, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here again. It's so lovely to have you on stage with us, Mrs. Falawe, Mrs. Dami. Very nice to have you on board. So we're just going to get right into it. Do not want to waste anybody's time. So, Nigeria, we have, according to UNESCO, we have over 20 million out-of-school children and counting. I know that you guys are you all are in different industries, but you guys have made positive impact to actually reduce the number. So from your experience and from everything you've learned, tell me, what is the singular most important thing that you believe that Nigeria needs right now for us to drive that pathway to economic transformation?
Thank you very much for that question. And I wish I could answer and say this is the singular thing that could be done, because there isn't one single solution as to what could be done. You mentioned the data around the number of children who are out of school. And we've been at this data conversation since 2015 till date. These days, I'm actually quite excited for the Minister of Education that we have, who is making a lot of progress and traction in terms of just innovation, ideas, collaboration, partnership to really address the out-of-school children issue. And the reason why I say there is no singular solution to it is because the issue in itself is multifaceted. The reason why children are out of school is not just one reason. There's an access issue where we don't have enough schools in certain communities that can enable these children, attend and learn. We have an insecurity issue in some parts of the country, in some regions in this country. We have issues around poverty where there's just so much poverty in the land that parents are not able to send their children to school, even when the school is free. They're not able to pay for the levy or even buy textbooks and learning materials. We have issues of, religious issues, cultural issues, where there's certain communities in Nigeria where girls don't go to school because there's no familiar teacher, there's no familiar gender in that school. There's no woman teacher in that school. Or there is no toilet that is dedicated to the girl in that. So we have different issues. And so to tackle it would require a multifaceted approach as well. We would need different things happening, from infrastructure to policy to funding to empowering teachers and training teachers. We'll need many of those different things happening for us to really land in a place where all children are learning, all children are accessing school, and yes, where everybody is thriving.
Thank you so much for your input. I love the idea of just taking a multifaceted approach, looking at things from different angles and just seeing how all of that can be incorporated into just empowering more children to actually be in school and improve the education system and let them be someone tomorrow just through the efforts from your approach. So thank you so much for sharing. Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, she was speaking, I felt like she was describing my life because that's like my day to day. And I guess she's pretty much said everything, but to just paint a picture, I guess I would give more insights into my life. So when I started Lisa 5 years ago, it was actually I think around like COVID, just so much going on. And I guess I was a youth in diaspora. I had just moved back, and I never could fathom the kids on the road. And I would give them maybe 500 naira today, but they will be back tomorrow. So for me, this is a short-term thing. So what is the actual solution and what is the root cause, right? And I started doing this thing on outreach where I would go. So I think even watching the video of Makoko, because I started Makoko and I was going to Jack Konde, for every Saturday I was at different communities teaching kids what they could use with their hands. Because I just was from a place where every child is in school, that's a given. Because I grew up in England, right? And obviously that wasn't now the case. So basically, one thing led into to another. I did this course on Harvard on children's rights and childhood protection. And that really took me into, I guess, different things. And then I stumbled upon the Correctional Center for Boys. And there's 100 and something boys there, right? But then they didn't have secondary school education. It only stopped in primary school because they were lacking resources, right? So I basically said, instead of bringing this creative academy to you guys, I will bring a lesson teacher to kind of just help the kids there. One thing led to another, and 5 years, we are now a free boarding school. And everyone is like, why didn't you just sponsor them into different places and not? Why did you start your own school? And I'm very big on access to free and quality education because I'm able to control what I'm giving out when they're with me, and it's very holistic. And my school now, my SS2 students, I met them 5 years ago on the streets of Yaba, them or their parents. I remember there was a boy sleeping on a bench, and he had lost his dad. And we asked, and she had to put him out of school because she couldn't pay the PTA levy because it was free, but she couldn't pay that levy. Another one was nobody is coming to school, so there was no point. So the children were hawking. Another one was it's not safe in the school that they were assigned. Another one, and you mentioned lack of schools, is I didn't even realize that there was a waiting list because it was so overpopulated in this country and Lagos. So there's a wait list. So even if you're done and you get into school, you might have to wait a year or two. And with where these kids are coming from, they're just like, what's the point? I'm just going to continue. And I also partner with Chest and Slums. So they give us their kids that they've taken from these slums and they bring them to me. And I also partner with 4 correctional centers across Lagos. And I have about 30 kids from correctional centers that are there. And that's to paint a picture. And even right now with my kids and my parents, I'm like, Mommy, this child is not due. And she's telling me, I can't pay. I've not paid for my last year's rent. And I'm about to pay for it, and I'm about to come and do something for this year. So the last thing on my mind is education or my child's school report card. And I think something that's really important is also collaboration. And I'm very big on praying that everyone, I guess, rises up to do what they are meant to do because it actually, like you said, it's actually a cycle. Because she's not thinking about her child's education because housing is an issue. And she told me her house rent was 80K. So which, in the grand scheme of things, everything else is done for other people. Then you see how I think you just see how that makes such a difference. So my school, for example, they don't pay school fees. They don't pay for textbooks or exercise books, and it's a boarding school. So the only thing, they don't pay for anything. So that burden is taken off of them, and these parents can actually focus and actually do other things and build themselves where they know that is already taken care of for them. So I think, like she said, it's really just very holistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That was such a beautiful answer. We're not just looking at the educational aspect. Most of the people that you've met, there are other struggles and there are other issues that they're trying to address. And that just takes their mind off the idea that education is even key. Because if you can't, and I'm just giving a scenario, for example, if you can't feed your child tomorrow, education would be the last thing on your mind. So just having a holistic approach and even just unburdening them with the work that you do, unburdening them actually gives them the opportunity for them to let their kids have an education because then they can focus on other things. So thank you so much for sharing. And one thing that you mentioned that I thought was really interesting was just the access to education. Just, it's not like Nigeria doesn't have a lot of schools, but there are lots of activities outside of just the school environment that takes parents' minds away from just giving their children access, right? So something that I just want to have more light on is how can we ensure that the children that are learning today, with the time constraints of the parents, and we have them in the school system for parents that are fortunate to have them in the school system, how can we ensure that the skills that they pick up from what they are learning today can directly translate into useful impact for the global industry tomorrow?
Um, so I guess you kind of ask like two questions in one,
Yeah.
but I'll kind of take one. So the first one I'll touch on is like the last part about the skills. So like when you kind of ask me what my schools are, I always say informal and formal education. So obviously Monday to Friday they're in school with the normal, Lagos State federal curriculum and all of that. But on every Saturday, what I started before it became a school still happens. So every Saturday, we're boarding school now, but every Saturday they are learning ballet, coding, graphic design, farming, shoemaking. They are learning these things because one, what you can do with your hands and access, nobody can always say, nobody can ever take that from you. And I think that's the beauty of knowledge, right? Nobody can ever take that from you. And I think the world is also changing. And I'm also very, very aware that, everybody's going to do well. But just in case, and again, somebody might be more creative. Somebody, like I have a student, I call her the next Misty Copeland. And before she came to my school, she had no idea what ballet was. But now she's learning and she's so good. And again, I'm looking at getting them university scholarships and things like that. That's something that's going to give her an advantage and give her an edge. And someone else is, you might be a math student or an art student, but you can learn how to make hair or farming. And it's also another thing that can help you in the future because I guess life, you just never know. And one thing I always do is we do internship programs for them every summer. They also come and sell like their things. So we always do like live auction. That's also how we raise funds because we're a non-profit. So they actually sell their things during end of year events or like midterm breaks and things like that. So that also empowers them. We had a partnership with ArtX Lagos, and I have a lot of kids that are really good, like artists and painting.
Yeah,
So that's
of
something they
course.
also learn on Saturday. And 6 of them got to exhibit at ArtX, and like a few people also bought things from them. So that psychologically is telling them something. They're like, just from this thing I can do, I'm making money. So already they are doubling down on that. And I do career day for them every year. And my friend, he's a pilot and came and was like, oh, I make this from being a pilot. Now I have half my school wanting to be pilots, and they take it seriously because from them, it's also a means to an end as well. So I think you have to show them how that is going to help them and how 1 + 1 = 2. If you can't show them that and they can't see that, then nothing's going to happen. And I think your second question was around time constraints. And so for the past 4 or 5 years, we were actually a day school in Yaba. But in August this year, we transitioned from being a day school to a boarding school, and now we're in Shango Tedo. And one of my key drivers in making that decision was, again, time. A lot of my kids, when we're a day school, they leave school, but they're going back to that same environment. It's like what you teach them for every 8 hours, there's something that happens and you have to go back and like we tweak, right? And a lot of them are working with their parents. They're selling Indomie, they're hawking, doing wheelbarrow, pure water after school. And that was a distraction. And even at home, because of where they're coming from, especially kids in correctional center, they are working, they are doing all of that. And it was also becoming a distraction to their education. So now them being boarding, they are with me all the time. We're even teaching them how to read. Because a lot of times they're at home doing homework or reading, and we weren't seeing that reflected in their grades because so there was a gap somewhere. But now the school is there, teachers are there, everyone is in that same place, and you can see the difference. And they actually are kids focusing on their education as opposed to kids working, kids doing this, kids doing that. And I'm very big on giving them back their childhood because a lot of them have lost that. So I guess that kind of answers the other question around time constraints. So yeah.
What I'd like to add to your question around skills is that we need to move the curriculum, which we've successfully done. The government has just announced that from this year, starting September 2025, we're moving to a skill-based curriculum. And so, and also the curriculum has been reduced from about 15 to 16 subjects to about 8 to 9. And so what it's now doing is that there is like solar installation, there is like cyber security, there's GSM fixing, etc. But then the issue is that we need to see what is happening in Let It Shine Academy across all schools in Nigeria. We need to see teachers, creating opportunities where there's career day. We need to see them training kids on ballet, like all these extra things that she's mentioning, including what is happening in the curriculum. And which is where in-service training comes in for teachers who are already in the system. The teachers who have already been using the old curriculum for so long have to be taught new ways to teach this new curriculum. They have to be provided with teaching materials, with teaching aids to teach this new curriculum. Otherwise, it would be a nice, piece of blueprint somewhere, but without us being able to implement and action it. Beyond that as well, with the timing issue, I feel like we also forget that we were also still learning even during the pandemic. We were able to pivot and leverage technology in ways that I've never seen before. Learning was happening on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and all these different platforms. So when we talk about time, we also should realize that we have a tool before us. There's artificial intelligence and there's technology that can be deployed, to really also continue to teach our students wherever they are. If they have to be in the market, on the farm with their parents, how can we ensure that regardless of where they are, learning continues? And then I also think that part of what needs to happen is that to get to that economic transformation, we also need to move from competition, grades, to also collaboration. We need to be able to raise students with certain mindsets, values, skills that are important for the progress of this country. We can't just want kids to just excel. Like, we need to be able to reward a child who is excelling in math and English the same way another kid organizes like a reading club for kids in the community. We need to celebrate and recognize empathy and all of those values that would help Nigeria to equally progress. And I think that is important.
Thank you so much for sharing that. The very amazing thought process behind what both of you mentioned is that we're not just looking at how to impact and impart the child through the educational skills that you've mentioned, like, those extracurricular activities of just like ballet, dance, choir, drama, music, cooking, just to enhance their mindset and for them to even just see that they have a skill that they can offer to someone. I think what was so powerful about what you mentioned was that for some of the skills that they've built, you were able to take them out to places that they could actually actualize it. Let them see people admire their work. Let them see people compliment their work, even purchase their work. Like, that is a very, very powerful mental image for any child. And then the approach of just not looking at the children alone, but just looking at the teachers themselves. I know that now in this age, we are moving towards a more digital economy. So digitization is slowly creeping in. It's been creeping in for centuries because I tell people, when digitization came, our GPSs have been here for a long time. Pretty much been operating on the model of AI, and we just never said it out loud. But now that digitization is in, and COVID was sort of a stark reminder that a lot of things could be operated remotely. And with the kind of skills that we're trying to impact on these children, you said something important that teachers must be able to get on board. So this is where you're not just looking at a mass quantity of teachers teaching Nigeria. we also have to make sure that we're trying to refine the education, like you said, just retrain them and give them some quality, impact their lives. Because at this stage in our lives, we're not looking for many teachers, we're looking for quality teachers. And quality teachers would be helpful in driving that economy. So, pivoting from your question of just looking at quality teachers, I want to ask, what specific investments do you believe can accelerate the reform for teachers?
Funding for sure. We need to upgrade how we see teachers. We need to invest in their pre-service training. We need to make it more attractive. I really don't understand why today in Nigeria, for you to want to study education, all you need to get in JAM is 100 to 120 over 400. It's the lowest bar for entry into the university to go and study an education degree. And so we need to up that number. We need to make education the most attractive profession for anyone to get into. And you're not going to make it attractive by, lowering the bar and then also underpaying these individuals. There are teachers across this country who are earning less than 30,000 naira a month. You're not going to encourage, any 2-1 fresh graduate, who is thinking about their lives, thinking about just starting their lives to go into education or to go into teaching and to stay there committed. So we need some real serious investment. We need to put our money where our mouth is, and we need to make sure that we really upgrade, the standards of teaching profession in this country. If we mean business, we need to see our money go in that, yeah.
I think, obviously, being a proprietress, I hate when people call me that, I think that's something that I really value at the teachers, and they're the ones that really make that difference. So, when people are like, how can I support, how can I donate, what do you need? My biggest expense is my salaries, and it's on purpose, and I will continue to do that because they need to be empowered. It's what you said. I think, I have teachers that I'm paying 200 and something, 300 and something, and I'm a non-profit, but it's important because without them, it's absolutely, there's no need, right? And apart from that, what we do is I train them every quarter. And I train them sometimes, like I get someone else, but thankfully with partnerships and collaborations, I have aunts or people, Grange, and like, we're going to train your teachers for you, different consultants that we use, and we train them constantly. So even the extracurricular that we do, for example, farming, it's our Greek teacher that's done that. So I'm also making sure that we're empowering them as well. And I think that's really, really, really key. And there was something you said about technology. So last year, I actually launched, a program. It's called Theo by Lisa. And it was actually because of COVID that really triggered, that for me. Because with Lisa, ideally, I want to multiply that. But it being a non-profit, it's how can I multiply this without building another school, a whole infrastructure and funding. And I was like, I'm going to do this digitally, right? So we have tablets that we deploy. So my kids don't need it because they have Lisa. But now, I was able to partner with a company in America, and they gave me complete access to their beta software. So basically, on this tablet, you have 300 learning videos that my teachers did. I took them to a studio, and I did motion graphics, and they're teaching. And any child anywhere can access it without Wi-Fi because of my partnership with the company in America, so I'm not allowed to say their name, in America, right? And because they gave that solely to me. So we've deployed to Ogun State, Enugu, and they'd use it, and I deploy it to public schools, and they use that completely for free. And my teachers are teaching them. And I've seen what that has done to the confidence of my teachers, because it's like, oh, wow, I'm actually on this thing. I see them posting it on YouTube because it's also showing them that importance, and you're training them as well. So I think all of that has to be really, really, really key. And, supporting them, even outside that, I do entrepreneurship trainings for my staff. And I think the way you carry your school is also important. We do appraisals every quarter. I work in a bank, so I literally carry all that into how I run my school and, even with my staff. So we do appraisals, there's promotions, there's grades. So I think all of that it just really shows them that. And they want to be there. I don't have I don't have staff that have left me. I think my principal has been with me since I started. Same with my VP, same with my VP boarding. They've literally all been there, and it's because of how they are treated. It's because they know. So I think that is really just that kind of investment that we really have to really push into them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's just understanding that, and this question, I'm just want to throw it out there just because it just gave light to just understanding that outside of the children, it's also important that the teachers are also up to speed with what's going on around us in the world so that they can actually make feasible impact. More times than not, we have teachers that may be a little bit hesitant about pushing towards just digitization age, technology, but I'm just glad that we are trying to make strides in that route so that we can raise up more teachers. Because, like you said, there are lots of people that shy away from education in general or studying education because they envision it that it is not something that can bring enough money to the table or not something they can see themselves even making a lot of impact. So if we can shift the narrative from that and put in more policies in place or funding, as you also mentioned, to actually just improve, then yes, we can see more people walking into the education field. Now, Mrs. Dami, there's something I wanted to throw out to you because you mentioned it, Miss, mentioned it earlier on our call. You said that you moved from the diaspora some years back. So I know something that is very common with diasporans is that sometimes it's very difficult to connect with the community. Whenever you move for an extensive period of time, you always feel like there's no way for you to give back. And then sometimes whenever they give back, they're still not connected with the community. So beyond just the financial help that some diasporans may choose to send back, what more can they do to just connect with their communities? How can we take an actionable step towards that? Because sometimes people really don't know. Like you said, people may come for Dirty December and go back, but some people genuinely want to help, genuinely want to support, but they don't know how to. So, how was that? How was that for you? Just navigating through that entire process.
Um, so that's gonna happen when you're really far from it, and I think the more difficult thing to do, but the only way you can, I guess, really is you have to sit in it, like sit in it, and I think that's what happened to me. It was very far, like I just said, oh, like just very random. I mean, my story is a bit because I kind of stumbled on the remand home in Mushing, and I was just like, let me just kind of see, and I hung out with them on Valentine's Day for the whole day. And that day I heard kids, because they are always in that center, they learn there, sleep there, eat there, and no one adopts them or anything. They move them to the correctional center, and then that's just that. And I heard kids say, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. I want to be a singer. I want to be that. And I had brought cardboard and paint and crayons there that day to just hang out with them. And a lot of them was their first time seeing crayons and paints and colors.
Wow.
So for me, my brain was, you kind of want to be a paint this, all of that, but then you've not seen, and you're like maybe 8, 7. So it was, how do you get from there to that? And that day we finished all the paints and crayons, and I promised them I'm going to come back on Monday and bring more materials for you. And I remember that weekend being like, I just don't want to bring materials, I want to do more. But I'm not very like artistic. So I had called a friend who owns like, I think it's called Art Room Lagos, that can I get one of your instructors that I'll pay them? I want to do this. And she heard and she goes, no, I'll give it to you for free. So he came with me on a Monday, we dropped the materials, and he actually taught them how to paint. And that's literally how Lisa started. And beyond that, I think what has connected me is I sit with them. So I have 253 kids in my school, and I know all of them by name. Everyone is like, huh? How? Like, if I see, I'm like, I know Uthman's story. I know Aisha's story. I know what's going on with John Milojo. I know her parents. I know. And that's what keeps me going. That's my how and why, because I'm so connected and in it. So you kind of have to sit. I'm not saying know the whole of Lagos, but if it's 1 or 2 or 3, and you actually hear them, you humanize, you understand, you see it. My boys in correctional center, because that's where I started the secondary school from, and it was just seeing and understanding them as people outside of, because I think when you hear correctional center, it's like, oh my God, bad, like what they done, what you do. And that's when I realized, because I sat with them, like, how do we get it? What's going on? I know that for every song. And I found out that a lot of them didn't actually do anything. They probably found you on the road. Or I found out that after a few years after, from a remand home, no one adopts you, they actually take you there. And I think it's hard, but you have to sit with it and sit with them. And that's where that connection really builds. Like, I call them my kids, and I'm always like, I'm a mother of 200 and something, and that's why every morning, as this is probably the most difficult and craziest thing I've ever done in my life, but that's how it keeps going because of that connection. So I would say, try and come close. I guess come down, come close, and actually just meet with people. Take 5 minutes. I think we're also in a very fast-paced life and world where and technology also doesn't help in that area because it's just like from afar. But I think even if it's just sitting down and connecting with you, I think that human one-on-one connection really makes a difference. Even the video you guys showed, spending that day, I'm sure it changes everything. Because that's what happened to me. It was one day that changed my life, literally. And I think if we just kind of give one day and give a bit more time to it, then, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it just made me, reflect and remember the fact that I feel like every social entrepreneur that I've encountered, everyone who is doing something in social impact, saw something or interacted with a problem or with an opportunity. And that sort of ignited something in them or sparked something in them that has led them to solving a problem or addressing an issue or creating a solution to something. And so I think in addition to investments, whether through donations and things like that, I do think that it's also important that youth in diaspora, just like citizens in Nigeria, need to be as close as possible to the challenges, to the issues, to the opportunities that are there, so they can have a better understanding and appreciation. And as a result of that, think about what they can do to either contribute to advance personally as well. I got into education, into nonprofit from a personal experience. My background isn't in education, international relations. I always wanted to become a diplomat. I started off my career in school, not by choice, but because it was just the easiest place to go and work in. Started working there, and an experience, an encounter with an orphaned little girl is what changed the trajectory of my life. And I thought, if this little girl in the school where I was working in, which was a private school, could be transformed, how much more all these kids who were begging on the streets? And that was when I started to chase opportunities to address issues of inequity in education. So I do think that, a platform, aside from just coming for Dirty December and the concerts and the vibes and things, are there opportunities as well that can be leveraged to help expose, our youth, our citizens, to some of the challenges that we're facing as a nation and some of the opportunities so that they can start thinking? It could be one person, but one person is enough to change the ecosystem and to really, really just inspire change.
Sorry, and just to add to that, and I think one thing that I really do want strategy to make sure people, I guess, are close is I ask people to volunteer. Because again, how can I help? They donate, and it's still far. So I say, come to this, come and help us. So because it's my school, I'm like, just let me know when you're going to come, and we get a lot of volunteers. So our end of year party and Carol is on Friday, and we have different people on social media that are around. I'm around in December, coming to volunteer, help the kids. So you actually get to interact with them, see the school, and I know for a fact, like what she said, just that one interaction would do something beyond that. So I think one strategy you can always use is come and actually volunteer, come and get your hands dirty. Just spend 1 minute to a day with them. I think if we can do more of that, that would also really help.
Please, let me just also add one more thing. When people go into communities as well, I think it's also important not to just see yourselves as heroes. I think there are people who also live within communities across this country who have a better understanding of what the challenges in their communities are. In fact, they have assets, they have knowledge, but they just might not have certain resources to make change happen. So I think it's also important that as we're encouraging folks to go into communities, we should also have them going in with the mindset of partnership, of collaborating, of listening, and really partnering with local individuals, grassroots people who are closest to those challenges, to work with them to solve it. And that's where sustainability also comes in, because when you've left and you're out of that community, the people that you've worked and partnered with are the ones who would continue and carry on the work that you would have brought.
Thank you so much for that inspiring answer. When I look at youth in diaspora, just listening to your story is exactly how we started. It was by the action of one person just doing a mass message to a lot of people. Like, oh, we're here in December. Oh, let's just go into the Makoko community and just let's feed people. Let's do give back. Let's connect with the community. And honestly, that's what sparked a change. That's the reason why we can comfortably celebrate 7 full years of Youth in Diaspora and many more years to come. And we are so, so grateful for that. So thank you so much for shedding a light on that. I feel like I now need to message more of my diaspora friends to just not just come for 30 December alone, but they should come and make some impact in people's lives. So just looking at our entire conversation and everything we've discussed so far, thinking about the policies that we need to place and the system and economy and Nigeria as a whole, what do you believe is something that we can do within the next year for us to be able to just drive that pathway to economic transformation?
I mean, I don't know if I would say it's a policy. I would just say, I think partnerships, collaboration, because that's really how you get that multiplication, right? And because I think everybody in their own way, there's like one thing, but there's that thing of you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that's literally the, I guess, story behind Lisa and my school is, like, I'm here, but I do not do it alone on any. I'm here, but my kids they're all in Nigeria right now, but I have that staff, I have a team, Christmas, everything from 1 or 2, even like we do counseling, there's a group of people that come and do counseling. So every aspect, our library, there's someone who's doing our library, even the facility that we got in Nigeria, it was our grand patron who said, I'm going to help you get and secure. So I think all of that, down to even training staff, down to even how I pay for anything, because it's non-profit, down to my uniforms, I think collaboration is so key. Even the example I gave about parents and housing and feeding. But then that is all together, because I remember when I had that issue, I reached out to an organization that I know that helps widows. And because that woman was a widow, and I reached out to her, and they helped her with her accommodation. And because of that, there's a lot more attention she's paying to her child's education now. So it's just that support. Even your staff, our staff, there's issues that human beings are having, but nobody can do it alone. So I think partnerships, collaboration, and being in the education system, right? Scheme of work is always changing, all of that, but how we keeping our afloat is because we're not doing it alone at all. So I think collaboration is something that I think is really important. Private sector, public, I think all of that. Even if you're in healthcare, I think don't think healthcare and it, because it's a boarding school, but we have hospitals that we partner with when our kids are sick. So I think all of that, all encompassing, I think I'll just say that's really important.
I would definitely share something that I think we could do by next year, because I think that there's definitely a short term to approach this. But when I think about a sector like education, it's a marathon. There's we can have a short term solution to addressing it. But I do think that there are a number of really brilliant initiatives that are happening across this country. I think that over the next year, one of the things that can happen would be for us to scale some of these things happening. Like I could imagine if Let It Shine Academy, could be scaled across Nigeria. There's Teach for Nigeria that is recruiting some of our country's best and brightest individuals. There's a leadership program that you run that we could scale. Citizenship and leadership building across the country. So I could say that some of the quick wins could be, how can we map and identify some of the things already happening, and how can we replicate it and scale across the country? I think that the other thing, around like the partnership, and we're seeing some body language in recent times. For example, Dangote Foundation has just donated, or will be donating $700 million to education in Nigeria. And I do think that, we require many more of those sorts of partnerships, many more of those sort of narratives, because it helps to show people that there's seriousness and there's focus on education. And I'd say finally, impact in education takes time. If we want to see result of, maybe we should plant, grain or something, and we'll see the result next year. But for education, it takes several years. And so we also require a lot of patience, a lot of patience, a lot of trust when we're also engaging with, the result that we want to see. Because I think that also if we go in with a mindset of trying to find overnight solutions and quick fixes, we would not get the kind of result, the kind of sustainable development that we want to see across this country. So I think that mindset of just really understanding that if we're going to make this investment lasting, it has to be long-term. Thank you.
Very wonderful answers. We're looking at collaboration, we're looking at partnerships, but outside of collaboration and partnerships, we're also considering sustainability. And sustainability requires some level of patience. It also requires trust. So with most of the programs that people are even implementing, as you've mentioned with your Let It Shine Academy, even just with working with the teachers that you work with, it's important for everyone to recognize that these things take time, and some schools and some proprietors, some teachers across, they actually have systems in place that are actually working. If these systems can actually be investigated, we would find out that some of these initiatives that we may be looking so far are actually in-house. And like you mentioned, if we're able to scale up some of these initiatives and even just run pilot programs, just test it out, see how people absorb it, see how people receive it, then it's possible for us to actually create a proper value ecosystem for education that actually not just influences the child and their future, but also impacts the teacher themselves, also unburdens the parents. Because I feel like for every single parent in the room, and even people that are parents by association, because like you said, Mr. Ami, you do have 253 children under your neck, it's important for us to recognize that these children have a future, and they also have a skill and talent that they are able to show forth. If we're able to highlight that skill and talent, we're able to show they are able to give back to society in a meaningful and economic way. And even when we just look at the diasporans keying in to that future, to that strategy, to what Nigeria is trying to build as a whole, it's important for them to recognize that all it takes is a single step forward. They have to be interested or even just show some type of interest, and also just be motivated to want to sit down in that space, in that community, and learn. One thing that I know that my parents have spoken about is just understanding that everybody is human. So just because they may not be at the same level as you doesn't make them any less human. So as you engage them, you're engaging them with an open mind to learn, to understand. And that's why it's so beautiful to hear your approach, that you're actually taking time to actually just see what they need, sit down with them, understand their needs, see how you can help, see how you can support. And it's not just coming from us as individuals alone. It's also looking at the holistic pattern. When you have the government keying in, you have the support from your peers, family, colleagues, you have the collaboration and partnerships with different industries. It doesn't have to just be education alone. You said it about the Dangote refinery. He's mainly focused in oil and gas, but he's still trying to key into the educational sector. There's also the healthcare. Every single industry we have in this country can positively contribute into the education of any child if they keep an open mind towards it. And the diasporans coming in can also key in if they also keep an open mind. So with that, I'll bring the panel to a close. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the lessons and everything shared and learned. We certainly appreciate it. And thank you so much, audience, for just listening in. I hope you've taken some very, very important key points that you can also discuss and share with others. So thank you again for your time.
Please have another round of applause for our wonderful panelist and our moderator. It was a brilliant time. Thank you, Momo, for your insightful questions. Thank you, Dami. Thank you, Ms. Falawe, for your insights today, this evening. All those discussed today reminds me of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo's philosophy on education. He was a staunch advocate for education. In fact, he placed in Africa the very first free education policy for primary school education for children all across the West African region. And unfortunately, because of circumstances of those times, he couldn't scale it. But at least now, in the 21st century, that vision still lives on. In LISA, in the work of Teach for Nigeria, and many, many organizations like Youth in Diaspora is doing all across the 6 different regions that we have in this nation. And so we're going to move on to the next segment of this evening, which is the vision presentation that will be done by the founder of Youth in Diaspora, Mr. Arthur Amadi. So can we all give him a round of applause as we get him into the room? Mr. Amadi, the floor is yours for the presentation. Please come on up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's such an honor to be here today. I want to first recognize Her Excellency, the First Lady of Lagos State, Dr. Ibijoke Claudiana Sanwo-Olu. I'm very grateful and honored to have her here in our presence. She could be anywhere in Lagos State today, but she decided to be here with us. Please, can we rise to our feet and give her a round of applause? Please, 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 please. It's not every day you get a first lady coming to your event, leaving what she has to do to be here. Please. Thank you so much, ma'am. We're grateful. We're grateful. I also want to recognize the Honorable Commissioner of Youth, somebody who, if I tell you the story of what happened, how we met, even though he was supposed to be here, still stayed, still came, and gave such a powerful keynote. If you were here and listened to the keynote, it was exceptional. Exceptional. And the intersection that we have between youth education and nation building, I want to recognize you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, yes. I also want to recognize someone who has navigated the private sector in such a diverse way, has helped to build an organization that we all know about, Transcorp, the immediate past president of Transcorp Group, Dr. Valentine Ozibo. Yes. I know she had to run, but Folawe and Dami did an amazing job on the panel, and I just want us to give them a round of applause as well. And before I move on, we have 2 other people that I don't want to take for granted as well. I would have loved for her to be on the panel because her voice is very powerful. We hope we can give her maybe 1 or 2 minutes to say something before she leaves. That's the one and only Aishat Agbaje Okunade. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And last but not the least, she would have been here if not for an emergency. You know, the diaspora is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is an agency called NIDCOM, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Honorable Abike Dabri Herrera would have been here if not for an emergency on her eye. And she's going to be ably represented here today by Mr. Dipo Olabowale. Please, rounds of applause for him, please. I know we've spent a lot of time, so I'll be brief. It's not easy to put an event together. I'm sure some of you would have seen, the scrambling. I'm based in Canada, right? So we don't really have the nuances of the Lagos beautiful traffic that can make you stay in the same place for 2 hours. But that's the beauty of a powerhouse. When you have a powerhouse economy, you have a powerhouse state, everybody wants to migrate even to Lagos. We talk about Jakpa, but there's Jakpada to Lagos. So it's such an honor and a privilege to be here in Lagos, having this amazing event, our 7-year anniversary, here to celebrate what we've done the past 7 years. You would have seen some of the videos, some of the testimonials from the teachers, some of the testimonials from the students. We've been doing a lot of work quietly. We don't really believe in noise. We don't believe in making, such just big grandiose thing. We focus more on the content and delivering and ensuring that what we're doing is actually impacting people's lives and making a difference. I don't want to bore you all with much grammar, but I want to share a little bit of my story. Some people may not know, but I was actually born in Surulere. You know, some people look at me, they hear my accent, they're like, this, what do you call it, IJGB, this abroad people. But, Omo Eko ni o. I was born in Surulere, so, you know, I think our representative is currently the chief of staff to Mr. President. So I'm very, very in tune with Surulere. I might go there, you know, maybe before I leave. But very, very close to me, close to us here is Makoko, where I didn't know, you know, 7 years ago. I searched where's the worst places to live in the world, and I didn't see Nigeria, so it's okay. We're okay. There were worse places than Nigeria. I started seeing places in India, slums in India. And then I saw one place that said Lagos. And you know there's Lagos, Portugal. So me, I thought it has to be Lagos, Portugal. Because there's no way that we can, in Lagos, Nigeria, we can have one of the worst places to live in the world. It can't be us. Only for me to search Lagos, and I saw Makoko. And then not only did I say that, I saw a place that some of you will know because we're in Ikoyi here called Banana Island. You know, we have one or two people in this room here that stay in Banana Island. And I said, hold on, are you telling me Banana Island is like 15 minutes from Makoko? So we have the wealthiest people in this country, a lot of them living in Banana Island, and 15 minutes away from them, we have this place called Makoko. I was mind blown. I said, how is this possible? Billionaires are right here, and we have this huge disparity, inequality right beside them. We need to do something about it. And that's how 7 years ago, I messaged all my friends I went to school with. I went to school here in Ekpe, in Atlantic Hall for about 3 years. So I started messaging all of them. I messaged the people who I've met here. I messaged the people who I met in Canada, in the UK, everywhere. I asked them one question, which I'm asking you today. Have you given up on Nigeria? No. Anybody else? No. Only one person said no. No, no, no. Right? A lot of them said no. A lot of them said, well, it's kind of tough, but we still have hope. We still have hope, but it's hard. And I said, okay, but you haven't given up. Because as long as you haven't given up, we can do something. And that's what I told all of them. Let's do something. Let's see what we can do to give back to the country. We're all Nigerians, whether you were born in Canada, the US, the UK, as long as you're, at the end of the day, you're walking, you look like this pigmentation. No matter what, if they ask you what's your name, and you say my name is Aishat, or you say my name is Bolu, or you say my name is Damilola, they say, are you Nigerian? Yes. So we can't run away from it. So I asked guys, what are we going to do? That's how we started messaging all our friends, and we said, we're going to bring all young people together, and we're going to feed 100 families. So in 2018, we fed 100 families in Makoko. In 2019, we fed 200 families. In 2020, COVID came. When COVID came, we pivoted to education. We knew that we can't do feeding. Feeding is great, of course. You need food to survive. But after food, what next? It's not food alone that transforms nations. It's the productivity and the value of the citizens. And how you impact the nation is how do you ensure that the citizens in the country, in the community, are bringing value and are being productive to the local community, then to the region, to the nation. So we started saying, okay, what can we do to educate young people? As you can see here, it says, this is by the former Secretary General, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. It's the most powerful weapon which we can use to change Lagos State, most powerful weapon which we can use to change Makoko, most powerful weapon we can use to change Nigeria. Because it's the same people who are educated that you can then become entrepreneurs that will now create economic development that will then get investors to come in. So education has that foundation. And for me, I believe not only does it have the foundation for economic development, it has the foundation for the insecurity challenge that we're dealing with. All the young people on the streets out of school in the north, in the south, wherever they are, if they were in school first, we already reduced by a large margin the people that can be recruited. And if we don't still get those children back into school, no matter who becomes president, no matter who becomes governor, no matter which senator, House of Rep member, local government chairman, they will still have to deal with that insecurity. So even if we're able to get investors to come in, there's no country I've gone to where I see is developed that we have kids on the school. So even from a security lens, the children are still a priority. So that's what we said, okay, we're going to focus on education. In 2020, we started looking at education. 2021, our team wanted us to leave Makoko because everybody goes to Makoko, right? Everybody goes to Makoko. But let me shock you. People go to Makoko once. They leave and they never come back. That's Makoko for you. They take pictures. Everybody sees, oh, you went to Makoko. So people are tired of Makoko, people going to Makoko. But what they don't realize is that there's no sustainability in Makoko. It's one-off. So we decided we're not going to be like everyone else. We're going to come to Makoko and we're going to continue to develop and go deep. So we came in 2021, went into the community and said, hey, what can we do here? Before we started doing feeding, the team didn't want us to stay. So we said, okay, I started praying, I believe in prayer. Some people don't believe in prayer. I still decided to pray a little bit. I said, God, what should I do? Because I didn't send myself on this journey. You were the one who showed me this place called Makoko. What should I do? And then I got this idea of this Noah's Ark. Has anybody heard of Noah's Ark? Noah's Ark? Anybody? Show of hands. Anybody? Yes, Noah's Ark. So we got this idea for a scaled-down version of Noah's Ark. It's called the Mobile Floating Academy. So this is what we developed in 2021. If you can go to the next slide so people can see. This is the Mobile Floating Academy. Next slide, please. Media. In 2021, we started developing the Mobile Floating Academy, and we knew that we wanted to build something mobile because that community, their primary mode of transportation is the canoe. Now, why was this important for us? In Makoko, you have land and you have water. There's people who live on land and there's people who live on water. So what do? Can we get all the children living on water to come to the land? Sometimes their parents don't want them to. So we thought, instead of taking them to the education, why don't we take the education to them? So we developed this in 2021. 2021, we came to Nigeria to implement this, only for me to get to the government school in Makoko, where we were doing some feeding programs. And then what happened? 2021, I looked at the classrooms, and I noticed that there were some empty classrooms. And I was kind of confused because, this is a place where I've been coming for, but I didn't do enough research. And this is the important, I think I heard on the panel earlier, about when you go into a community, ask what they need. Don't come with this hero mentality that you're the savior, you can come and do everything for them. No, they have things that they need that if you don't ask them, you won't know. So we come from a research-based perspective, asking the community, what's going on here? Why are these classes empty? So they start telling us, this is what's going on. This community is tough to teach in. It's not easy. The language is the first barrier. If you don't speak Egun and you're teaching a Makoko, it'll be tough for you to communicate with the kids. When we're in Makoko, I would hear Govo, Govo, Govo. I thought they were calling me governor of Makoko. I was confused. I'm like, I'm not the governor. And then I realized, Gogo means like a new person, foreigner. So I realized even with my Nigerians, I'm a foreigner in the community. And I said, okay, we need to get folks who are involved in the community that understand the language to be able to teach the kids. So can we start getting young people from the community who speak the language so that they can teach the kids? And that's how we started employing teachers. Some of them that you saw here, young people from the community. I know Dorcas, Happiness, they spoke about their story earlier on. I think was fantastic. Media, please, I need the next slide. I need the next slide on this PDF. Very, very important. So we started doing that 2022, 2023, and that's how we transitioned into education. And then we decided, you know what, we've started employing people. Can we solve this problem here in Lagos, here in Makoko? Make sure we get rid of the empty classrooms, and then we can scale into other parts of Lagos and then Abuja. So we've been doing that for the past about 2-3 years now, employing young people as teachers. And for the next 7 years, what we want to do is employ about 100,000 teachers. I know it sounds like a crazy number, but I want to tell you it's possible. The reason being, we're in the diaspora, we're in the US, we're in Canada, with the UK. The Nigeria diaspora remits about $25 billion every single year to Nigeria. So it's very possible. 1% of that 25 billion is $250 million. If you have $250 million and you pay every teacher about $1,000, very easily, very simply, you'll be able to employ them. It just takes a lot of work. When we go back, we have a lot of work. We have a lot of structure to put in place. Please, next slide. I want everybody to see what this looks like, because this is what we're doing the next 7 years. Yes, this is what the classroom looks like. It's a floating classroom on the water. It can be used as a classroom. It can be used as a health care center. It can be used as a technology center. It can be used for a library. So even Alliance Francaise will be having conversations today. Let's make a library on water. Governments, that want visibility, Canadian government, American government, French government, can you get something like this on the water? So we'll be talking to them. Why? Because now we have the human capital. Everybody focuses on the infrastructure. I used to make a joke all the time that, I'm not in government, so I don't need to do infrastructure projects. Nobody needs to see the work I'm doing because I don't need to be reelected. And the reality is that you need infrastructure projects because people need infrastructure for them to work. But on the other side, you also need the human capital to work in the infrastructure. Because if the infrastructure is there and there's nothing happening in the infrastructure, then it doesn't matter. So yes, we'll have the infrastructure, but because we've already started employing the teachers, we'll also have the teachers who will be able to teach in this classroom. And then we'll be able to bring back those 20 million out-of-school children who are out of school. So this is our vision for the next 7 years. We're going to be focusing on deploying the Mobile Floating Academy all across Nigeria in floating communities, in River State, in Delta State, in different floating communities. We're also going to be going to Abuja. We'll be going to Kano, places in the north where we start getting more kids back into school. It's going to be, amazing ride. And I know I've taken a lot of your time, but I won't get off the stage without appreciating some people today. None of this would have been possible without our team. No matter how wise, how smart some of you think I am, I'm only one person. I'm not God, I'm not omnipresent, I'm not omnipotent, I'm not omniscient. I can't be in multiple places at the same time. So I need a team. And some of you would have seen Moboyo speaking on the panel, David, you would have seen Bolu, you would have seen Fumbi, you would have seen some people behind the scenes that are taking the photos, the videos. There's some people who are not even here. There are some people who prayed for us to make sure the traffic did not hold you for more than 1 hour. There's a lot of people behind the scenes also doing work. So without them, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So I just want to use this moment to just say a massive thank you to the team. Can we please just appreciate them? Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We couldn't have been able to do this without you. Next, as we're wrapping up, I want to talk a little bit about why we're here. In Nigeria, you don't really want to tell people you're fundraising because then nobody will come. But today, we do want to have a target. We have a pledge, again, someone told me, my friend works in the federal government. Anytime I tell him, hey, Arthur, I want to do some stuff, he says, Arthur, the funding in this country is not for you. You're in the diaspora. You guys should get funding from the diaspora and do the work that you want to do. Yes, this shows a little bit about the Mobile Floating Academy. You can play as I'm speaking, just so folks can see. So he said you have to focus on the diaspora and the funding. And we've done that. We didn't ask anybody to pay for this because we're getting funding from the diaspora. Very simply, we use that money to employ teachers. But now that we're going to be doing more things, more tangible in Nigeria, we're going to be focused on, fundraising a little bit from Nigeria. I still know, this is just me being biased, I still know that we have to focus on the diaspora for fundraising. I know that for a fact. So it's not something that, we throw out there here in Nigeria so people feel any sort of pressure. But if you do feel like, what you've heard and what you've seen so far is something that, I like this vision, I like what these young people are doing, and you'd like to support, please feel free. No pressure. Like one of my mentors will say, the only person that's under pressure is the devil. So no pressure. It's not by force. We'll go back to Canada, the US, the UK. We'll fundraise as much as possible. If you're here and you feel like I love what they're saying, this is amazing. It only costs, what? Minimum wage is 70K to employ someone. So if you decide you want to give about 100,000 naira for 1 month even for a teacher would be great. If you want to give, 1 million naira would be great. We've decided to have a target for today with our pledge cards to just employ 10 more teachers. That's it. We just want to employ 10 more teachers today, moving into next year for Lagos, 500 teachers. Grand, Granville Schools has already started, giving us 500,000. Eric Kaiser has also started giving us 1 million. So right now, we've already raised today almost 2 million naira. So if you decide, you want to make it 3 or 4 or 5, completely up to you. With that being said, I think we can move on to the awards. I believe there are some people who are worthy of getting some awards. We don't take your work for granted at all. I'm very grateful for everyone who has stayed so far. I'm very grateful for everyone who has been here, who stayed till this time. You don't need to have stayed. You could have just left, but you all are here. So as we move on, please just give us a little bit more time. Let's give the awards to those who are deserving. They've worked very hard for this. Let's not joke with some of the work they're doing. One of the folks, I have to say it here because you didn't expect me to say it, but I was in Eric Kaiser, and he didn't know that we're going to invite him. And then I saw him, and I asked him, "Are you the commissioner for youth?" He's like, "Yeah." And I just spoke to him normally, just like as if he's, not the commissioner for youth. And he was just so humble, so open. And I said, these are the kind of people we need in Nigeria. Not the people that do buga, the people who, when you see, they engage you like you're just a human being. And that's what I've seen, even with the people he relates with around him. You can tell he's very chill, very down to earth, very, very down to earth. So please, when they're getting their awards, please let's really honor them. They worked hard for this. It's not easy for you to do the work. If you guys know, I know not everybody likes to complain. Like in government, people this, people that, people this, people that. But if you know some of the things some people in government go through, I've had the honor and the privilege to speak to some of these people, to sit in front of their presidents and see the demands that are made on their lives, not every single day, every single hour. That you can sit with someone and their phone is ringing. And all people are asking for, can you give me this? Can you give me this? Can you give me? Imagine how draining, how exhausting that is. And then if you know how much money people actually have, if we're not live streaming now, I would have told you guys some interesting things that are going on in the country right now. But because you see someone in government does not mean they have so much money like this. That's not true. So these guys have persevered. They've worked hard. So please, as you're getting the awards, please let's just honor them. And again, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. I really, really, really appreciate it from the bottom of our heart. This is the first time we're doing something like this. And to have this sort of crowd, this sort of turnout, to me, I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful. So with that being said, I just want to bring up Fumbi or Bolu to lead the award session. And thank you again. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please get another round of applause for Mr. Arthur Amadi? Now, this is my favorite session at any, ceremony that happens, an award show. And it's not just because these are just the stars of the show, but I think awards are symbols of appreciation for the hard work people have done over the year and the impact they're having in our society. And it's supposed to serve as an encouragement to each and every single one of us. So I would like to invite up Her Excellency, Mrs. Dr. Ibijoke Sonolu to give out the first batch of awards to some of our awardees this evening. Your Excellency, please. Everyone, please, rounds of applause. Thank you. Okay, so our very first awardee is our camera crew ready? So our very first awardee is to the Honorable Commissioner of Youth and Social Development, Honorable Mr. Mobolaji Ogunlende. Please come up. Our next awardee is Miss Damilola Feide.
Thank you. Um, like I was just telling Dami now that she's so passionate about the work she's doing in the community, and I was taking notes. On behalf of the Youths in Diaspora, we're presenting this Human Capital Development Award to you. Thank you and God bless you.
And our next awardee for this evening, Miss Aina Ayomide Miibena.
Please, round of applause.
Aina is getting Teacher of the Year award. Everyone, please, another round of applause for Aina.
Congratulations, Ayomide. I learned you're a teacher, and for them to recognize it must mean a lot for the youths in diaspora. So on behalf of the youth in diaspora, we're presenting this token of love to you. Thank you very much for what you're doing in the community. God bless you.
We'd like to say a massive thank you to Her Excellency for helping us give out the first batch of awards. And now we would like to invite up Mr. Valentine Ozibo to give the next set, the second half of awards. Thank you. Our next awardee is Mrs. Aishat Abaje Okunade.
So this is an award for transformational leadership. Congratulations. This should spur you on to do greater things.
in this. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our next award is to the Honorable Chairman of NIDCAM, the Nigerian, represented by Mr. Dipo, to receive the award on behalf of Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa.
Let me not call you Dr. Abike. Mr. Digbo, please send our sincere regards to our good friend. She's doing a great job. And today, the youth in diaspora is recognizing her quality leadership and nation building efforts. Congratulations to her. Congrats.
And we have a very special award for a very, very special lady, the mother of the state of Lagos. Can we please welcome Her Excellency, Dr. Ibijoke Claudiana Sanwo-Olu, up on stage once again.
What an honor to present this to you, Madam First Lady. This is indeed a Lifetime Leadership and Nation Building Award on behalf of the youth in diaspora. Ma, keep doing a good job. Well done. Congratulations. You want to add something?
Yes, sorry. Ma, I just wanted to say a big thank you. We know that a lot of people don't see what you do behind the scenes in Lagos State. We know you're very humble, that you help so many people, and people don't know. So we want to say a big, massive, massive thank you for the contribution you've made to Lagos State. On behalf of all the youths here in the diaspora and the youth in Nigeria, thank you so much for everything that you've done. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Ma. Yes. Especially the Ministry of Youth and Social Development.
Okay. Thank you very much to the youths in diaspora. Amazing work that you're doing in the community. 7, they say in the Bible, is number of perfection. And so with this award that you have bestowed upon me, the reward for hard work is more work. I was listening to the panelists and I was taking notes. You could feel that they're so compassionate about what they're doing and telling us, new ideas. Ato, thank you for inviting me. And the Honorable Commissioner, Mr. Valentino, and Mr. Agbaji, you could see that all of them are working together. They said a lot of things. You can't do this thing alone. You have to collaborate, and it's true. So I'm talking from the point and perspective of a First Lady and how we network together with other First Ladies, comparing, our experiences in the different spaces and leveraging on the political system that is in place to cascade down to the grassroots. You said a lot that, especially in Makoko, and there are also other areas in Lagos that are similar to Makoko. Yes, it's true. A lot of people do a lot of photo shoots in Makoko and then just go away. But the difference in the youths in diaspora is that you've maintained status quo. You keep on going back to the same place. First time I saw youths in diaspora, I saw a T-shirt in my house, and somebody was wearing it. And I was like, is there a group called Youths in Diaspora? What do they do? And, that was how I knew about it. And then I met you sometime earlier in the year, and you were, he just seized that opportunity and he just went to town, kept on talking about youths in diaspora and all the things they've done. And thank you that we're not going to have Noah's Ark. We thought it was only in the Bible that we see Noah's Ark, but now Noah's Ark will be floating everywhere in Nigeria. So when I talk about systems and some of the political systems, like dividing the country into 6 geopolitical zones and leveraging on that, at least putting one in each. You start small and grow big. So you start with maybe Lagos, Southwest, and then, like that, 6. And then you now expand. So those kind of things, those kind of systems in place. The panelists, honestly, they really said a lot that really blew my mind, especially talking about entering the community. You don't just enter the community and start giving them iPads and laptops and stuff. They will sell it because that's not really what they need. But I like the fact that you have to do some research. Make sure you greet the ballet. That means money. But that's the only way you can get the information that you need, honestly, because that's the only way. And then using the local contents there to get the results. So I was like, okay, I like the way the youths in diaspora are thinking. They're thinking like me. You have to do research and evaluate at all stages. And then the fact that, what's her name again? Folawe and the other lady, Damilola, we're talking about continuous appraisals on a quarterly basis. Yes, and then you have to motivate the people. So you see, I was listening attentively, honestly. And what they say is that the Esther will have to go to meet the king at the right time. You understand? I've come, I've heard, and I need to deliver some information to you. So you people, youth in diaspora, keep on fasting and praying. I'm not going to pray. Fasting and praying so that we can deliver this, vision that you have. Very nice vision that we're seeing out there. And believing God, I think it's worthwhile. I've seen other places that are like Makoko, not ghetto places, but where there's a lot of water, like places like Denmark, and they leverage on their water a lot. Some other places abroad too, and these things are kind of working. So I think it's something that can work. A lot of funding, like you said, that's the scary part. But it's doable. Yeah, it is doable. And not just relying on people in diaspora alone, but also coming back home. There are places like Orange Island, quote unquote. So we can also tap into the anointing in this place too. Once again, God bless you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you once again to Her Excellency, Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Claudiana Sonwolu. A massive round of applause once again. We very much appreciate your presence with us here today, ma'am. So now that we've heard our closing keynote from Her Excellency, we have one final closing remark from the ever industrious Mr. Valentine Ozibo. Now, just to give you all a taste of who Mr. Ozibo is, I'm just going to read a little bit of an excerpt of his bio and profile. Even when I received this, I was blown away myself. So, Mr. Valentine Chineto Ozibo is a globally recognized business executive, award-winning CEO, and influential political leader whose career spans over 3 decades across banking, hospitality, energy, power, corporate transformation, and civic leadership. He is the immediate past president and group CEO of Transcorp PLC, and previously served as MD CEO of Transcorp Hotels PLC, where he led the landmark $100 million transformation of the Transcorp Hilton Abuja, earning prestigious international honors in Spain and Greece. A Chevening Scholar, he holds an MSc with distinction from Lancaster University, an MBA and a first-class BC in accounting from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He is a fellow of multiple professional institutes, a justice of the peace, and widely respected for his integrity, intellect, and inspirational leadership. In politics and civic life, he has emerged as one of Nigeria's most compelling voices for democratic renewal, justice, and national unity. A former governorship candidate and now a leading figure in the APC, his principled political choices and reform-driven vision earned him the 7 Stars Leadership and Governance Excellence Medal in 2025. He's a strong advocate for constitutional restructuring, judicial independence, electoral reform, and a secure, equitable Nigeria built on strong institutions. In the same year, he founded the Valiant Movement, a fast-growing nationwide civic platform championing ethical leadership, youth engagement, and responsible citizenship under the philosophy, courage to lead. Beyond politics, he is a committed humanitarian and youth advocate. Through the Valentine Chineto Ozebo Foundation, he has empowered young people with technology, entrepreneurial and creative skills, while his leadership of, I'm almost done, Feet and Tricks International. Mr. Valentine.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Your Excellency, what an honor to be here with you. Commissioner, Dami, Ms. Agbaje Dipo, and of course the organizers, Arthur and your colleagues, and all the amazing people in the audience. Again, good evening to all. It's an honor to make these final remarks. I'm not even sure what else to add. I've listened to wonderful, amazing things tonight. The conversation is around the impact of the youth in diaspora, particularly in education. And I commend Arthur and his colleagues, this amazing job they're doing. Obviously, when he mentioned this to me, I told him we need to have a much deeper sit-down and conversation to see how we can all collaborate and see that this type of initiative is expanded even further beyond just Makoko, other places in Lagos and beyond Lagos. When I listened to the amazing panelists, I would say to you all, education obviously is the foundation for our transformation and renewal. And not just education, quality education, particularly that will make us to rediscover who we are. Just yesterday, I came back from London from attending a conference about the 140th anniversary of the Berlin Conference, when the Europe came together to scramble for Africa. 140 years ago. Today, we still feel those impacts. And there's a need for us to go back to where we are, who we are. And that's about history, the real history, the authentic one. Not that Mungo Park discovered River Niger. The real history. Knowing who we are is the beginning of the journey. And when we talk about education, 3 areas usually for me, what we should be focusing on. Affordability, impact, that's quality, and relevance. And this, a lot has been mentioned. I like what Dami said here about performance management. We all come from banking environment, so we know what performance. I like to see that what was done here tonight is done in every single school. Like the young lady that was just awarded Best Teacher. This, congratulations. Can we make sure we actually institute Best Teacher Award in every single school in Nigeria, and let it be the students voting for the best teacher, not any other person selecting. Let the teachers decide. At the end of the day, it's always about who is taking the decision and in whose interests are those decisions being taken. That's the imagination we need to bring to bear. And as we focus on this educational part, I also like to tell those in diaspora, politics is also very key, because political leadership is actually where you can solve some of these problems sustainably. Most times, when we focus on the symptomatic level, we do things accidentally, and they can also be reversible. But if we get it right on a consistent basis, where we are enthroning people with the right character, people I call emotionally intelligent, the right principles, the right values, going through the right process, emerging truly as a leader on a sustainable basis. We'll do that in all parts of Nigeria, and then focusing on those things that matter. Not like a case of, let me not, maybe I should just say it, KB State that we all hear and read about, where Hajj budget is bigger than education and water and health combined. We can't be doing stuff like this. We have to make sure that we emphasize. As a matter of fact, UNESCO says 25% of budget should be on education. We need to look at states, emulating like from what Lagos is doing and many more, to ensure that education indeed is given the rightful position. It's the beginning of the right things we need to do. And the quality education, not just any type of education. There's a whole lot for me to say here, but because the night is already fast spent, and I believe we've done good justice at gathering here tonight, listening to one another, inspiring one another. And it's on this I want to say to everybody, good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ozibo. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of tonight's event. But before we all scurry back home or even enter more traffic heading back to our various houses, we have some canapes and drinks as well as gift bags waiting for you outside. So please stay around, eat, drink, be merry, network with the people in the room. And please don't rush off. And before we end, I just want to leave us with this quote from Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Education is the cornerstone of progress and the greatest investment a nation can make in its future. And the future is here. The future is not tomorrow. The future is right now. So thank you once again, and we appreciate your presence with us this evening. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you so much, Fumbi. Hold on 1 second. You know, without the diaspora, we have to always do something nice. So we're leaving soon, but I just want everyone, so we can capture it. On 3, we'll say youth in diaspora. Is that fine? Is that fine? Can we get the media folks? The media folks. I'm going to count 1, 2, and 3, and we all say youth in diaspora. All in agreement say aye. The ayes have it. So 1, 2, 3. Youth in diaspora! Thank you so much, everyone. Now, before we leave, Mr. Israel, I know we're closed, but something happened. We were praying a couple days ago, and he spoke. And of course, Dr. Val has given the closing remarks. Normally, I should just tell everybody thank you, and we should leave. But that would be normal. We are somewhat abnormal people, because somebody says it's only the crazy people who will change the world. And I'm somebody who I would call a little bit of an advocate, because there are people in the world that have abilities, and there's some people who have supernatural abilities, extraordinary abilities. One of them is Jackie right there. She's one of the people with extraordinary abilities. The ability for you, when you engage with her, to feel a level of compassion that you've never felt before. I remember when I met Jackie, I said, no, she has to go into school. Jackie's who's been using a wheelchair. We got her into school so she can learn. And Mr. Israel as well. You might have heard a little bit about him. But I just want him to spend just 2 minutes to share from his heart. This is someone who we don't even employ. You know, some people look at me and they say, Arthur, no one's employing you, no one's paying you, you're doing all this work, nobody's paying any money. But there are also people in the community. You know, me, I might have a little bit of money. You know, I run media company, did all this fun stuff. But how the people in the community who are not even earning that much that are also volunteering? Even when you don't have so much, you're still giving back. So sometimes when people complain that say, oh, you need to have so much money before you start giving back, I don't agree. And Mr. Israel is one of those people. Please, in just 2 minutes, Mr. Israel, I would love for you to just say something to everyone. Let them know a little bit about yourself and what you've done. Thank you so much. Just 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very, very happy this evening to meet one-on-one with a mother, the First Lady of Lagos State. From Makoko, for the first time, I'll be standing before this great audience to say this. Ma, please, when you get back home, please, on behalf of Makoko people, extend our greeting to our governor. Because if Makoko has gone, has been evacuated, I know by now I won't have the opportunity to be standing here. But because the governor stood by us, protected us, defended the community, and tried to give us hope, and that's why we are all here today to grace this occasion. So therefore, we say very big thanks to you. And most importantly, Makoko is an environment where everybody comes and go. But youth in diaspora stand and they stood by us. There's one thing I've learned so far in life, is that a great leader or a good leader is someone who finds himself in the midst of fool or stupid people and never takes advantage of them. And that is what I've seen so far with youth in diaspora. And I will say this, that there are so many talents and potentials in Makoko. They are waiting for people who will tap and bring this to a great light. I pray that after today, Makoko will receive a great light that we're expecting, that we wish, especially academic aspect of it. Thank you so much for coming this night.
Thank you again, Mr. Israel, for your speech to the room. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Funbi Akintanya. It has been my absolute pleasure to host this evening with you alongside my co-host, Mr. Bolu Okunade. On behalf of both of us, we say a massive thank you and good night. Bonsoir, bonne nuit, au revoir.
And we'll see you next year.
Bisous, bisous. See you next year.